Sorry, boss.
Coming to you live, this is the Alpha Nerds Podcast.
All right, here we are, everyone. Apologize for the issues. We are here, Alpha Nerds Guild Podcast episode. I've lost count because apparently we're doing this too much. I am your host, ABN, and I am also followed with the one and only voice of God, Benediction. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now we're moving back over to Ohio because apparently someone has been resurrected from the dead. We have the one and only Twiz. How are you?
The rumors of my death have been grossly overestimated. Can't kill me.
You're like the supervillain that just keeps coming back.
Exactly. At the end of the world, it'll be me, cockroaches, and Twinkies.
Well, you'll be set, apparently.
I'll be eating all the cockroaches and avoiding the Twinkies.
That's protein first, yes. Be careful of those. Super dangerous.
Cockroaches aren't bad if you fry them up just right.
I've lived in Asia too long, man. I still don't agree with you.
Yeah. we have a pretty good show today because I don't know if anybody has been paying attention to the news. All kinds of stuff has been dropping all over the place. And when I say news, I say video gaming news. You know, take the rest of it outside the door. That's not what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. But I guess I'll start it off. Apparently, there was something called a Nintendo Direct. Now, if you're not familiar with a Nintendo Direct, it's Nintendo's version of saying, we're going to stream a video for you. That's normally what we used to do on stage, but because we're so, I guess progressive, new, technologically advanced, we just do it on a video, make it look cool, and snap our fingers. But there were some really big announcements. We had dates come out for certain games that, like Project Octopath and, things like that. And everybody's kind of like, that's cool. Everything's going great. I watched it all the way through, live. And the funny part was watching the comments, especially towards the end, and everybody was just, complaining like crazy because they thought it wasn't really living up to the hype. But right there at the end, they did a trailer starting off with the Inklings from Splatoon, which ended up showing a new Smash Brothers. It's been revealed. There's no date. There's no nothing else. However, not only does it have the Inklings from Splatoon, it also has the Breath of the Wild version of Link. And then I'm going to assume Mario Odyssey with Cappy. So that was the big news. And then, of course, everyone across the planet went up, saved. That was the one trailer that saved the entire 30-minute duration.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff. Once again, I don't want people to, jump on my case too much. This is not like a Nintendo podcast. However, when Nintendo keeps coming out of the gate this way, there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. Any thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Like I said last episode, I haven't touched Nintendo since the N64 and the days of GoldenEye. A lot of stuff that's come out has really made me want to get back in Nintendo again. But I don't think I can actually say anything else on it because I just haven't been in that environment for so long. I'm super stoked. I don't know about yourself, Todd.
I absolutely. Splatoon actually really makes me want to Switch. Like there's no tomorrow. It just looks so ridiculously, stupidly fun. Like those old games of old that we've talked about, where it's just you pick it up, you sit around with your mates, and you just play and you just have a stupid time, and then you just move on with your day instead of obsessing over getting that chicken dinner or any of the other numbers of things.
Right. And I mean, kind of like the one I have right here. You could just take this sucker anywhere you want. Of course, mine's covered in Legend of Zelda stuff because I don't know. I think I'm a fan or something. I'm not really sure. Save your judgments. But yeah, Splatoon is that game when I first played it on the Wii U. It's that harken back to this is how Nintendo does first party shooters. It's basically it's what they told the entire industry. This is how we do shooters. So you have an entry level third person shooter for everyone. So, my kids and everybody else's kids can learn how to play shooters and make us all angry early on. I mean, Nintendo set us all up for failure. So,
Thanks, Nintendo.
I mean, that's just what they do to us, all the way from Japan, just taking us out one by one. But that that was one of the major ones. It was really. They also talked a lot about Mario Tennis Aces, which I'm not a fan of. You really have to be special. Oh, hang on. Stop that. There's a reason it's like that. It's a niche audience. However, that also looked really good. So the whole entire thing was really, really good, and I enjoyed it. But there was other news. Outside of Nintendo, Ben? I think you were telling people about something that might have happened to you that's got you in a ruse. Let us know.
That was Destiny. Destiny 2 is being gone. But now they want to release Division 2, and I only recently installed Division 1 again. I had it on the Xbox, and I stopped playing it because I built my new PC, and I just got caught back up in the whole PC gaming thing. And my Xbox, I really haven't turned on for like 8 months. And I didn't really bought it for Halo anyway. But I bought the Division on it, really enjoyed it. And then I bought it again on the Steam sale for my PC, got back into it, and the new expansions have been really great, new DLC. I'm really enjoying it, and now they're going to release Division 2. And I can't help but feel like I've just been flipped the bird by a little bit. And it's like MMORPGs, you get like WoW, and you get Star Wars, and you get all the expansions that kind of sort of negate all the work and all the kit that you've earned, and you have got our new stuff, but you've still got that character history there. Just by releasing a sequel to an MMO like that, it's just sort of taking away everyone's previous effort and going, hey, you're still playing the same game, but don't worry about any effort you've made before. And I think for that reason, I think I'm actually just going to boycott Division 2. It might be a little bit childish, but I haven't even finished getting like all the little bits, a little completionist side of me, like running around getting all the audio tapes and just like getting all the achievements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to put it to bed yet. Like,
I don't know. I know as far as it's concerned, it's more or less just confirmed as being in development. I mean, for all I know, Ubisoft's a pretty straightforward company, pretty good about their game releases, so they would probably be the one to come out at E3 and say, hey, that game we were talking about that's in development? Well, guess what? It's coming out in November. You're welcome. And
yeah,
and we would all
even knowing that it's in development has now just sort of taken my interest away from doing any more. So there's people being childish in the chat, and they're not being professional right now. Where professionalism is tantamount, Todd. Just behave yourself.
Yeah.
I can't help it when I see the face of God.
It's been taken away. It's really taken away my want or desire to even do any more in Division, to the point I'm just going to uninstall it and not play it again, just because what's the point? What's the point in doing all that work, getting all the decent gear, when you're just going to move on and play something where it doesn't count?
Right.
Effectively playing the same game. I don't know.
Yeah, what I would say, it can be saved. It has the ability to be saved. And the way I'm gonna go about this is to say, if you're gonna change from the ground up and give a whole new game, there needs to be something that transfers over, like something that can distinguish you as a Division 2 player, that you're essentially a veteran of the Division series. Or even that, yeah. That was one of the big issues from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 that a lot of people had. Why is it that I'm changing games completely, which most people are okay with, as long as you don't neglect all the time we had previously?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't too bothered about Destiny. I was really stoked for Destiny 2 because I hadn't played Destiny 1 for about 3 or 4 years. And so by that time, I was ready to come back anyway. So I would have started up from the ground up. But I can imagine a lot of people that have been through that Destiny stage would be exactly the same point I am now with Division, and just gone a bit like, oh, well, thanks.
The only thing that they did for Destiny 2 was allow you to have little cutscenes at the beginning of the game that showed your path through Destiny 1. So all the Crota raid, all the original raids, they showed you when you cleared it and who you cleared it with. So it was kind of like a little nostalgia cutscene. And then you just kind of started along, and they changed lines for the voice actors. Those are the two things. Like, here's a cutscene, and every once in a while, when you get to a certain point in the story, instead of the ghost being generalistic in their voice lines, they talk to you like you've already been there. That was the only two things that they changed. So it was fun enough to where it kept everybody initially, but hopefully the Division doesn't do that. I think Ubisoft's good enough for that. I don't really think they've done anything that would give me the indication that they would completely screw over their fan base and just jump over to a new game and make everyone angry.
Yeah.
It's not like they're
I don't know,
EA or anything.
Maybe it is in development, and maybe they'll listen to their fan base a bit, and maybe they'll surprise me with something. And go, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a new game, and like you said, they'll bring something across, and that will intertwine your history from the old game, which might entice me back. But until I hear more of it, I think I'm pretty much standoffish at the moment, just to see which way they go with it.
Yeah, I think what'll end up happening is that they'll probably do something, like, because it's probably going to be so loud that they're not going to not be able to do something, because we're just so freaking loud. So I mean, we have that. Destiny 2's out there. If you don't know, you can go ahead and Google it on your favorite game media outlet, and then it's really only just initial stuff. It essentially got leaked, and then Ubisoft had to come back and be like, okay, yeah, you caught us, it's in development. But so there you go with that. Moving on, Twiz, I think you had something that you were talking about here earlier. What is
Talking
that?
about the game I play?
Would that be Hello Kitty
My
Island
Little
Adventure?
Pony Island Adventure.
Yes.
No, the big news this week out of Fortnite is they're actually going into beta for releasing Fortnite for mobile. They're starting off first with iOS for the app, which that sucks, simply because Apple sucks. But they're going to start beta testing. So I'm not sure how you go about beta testing. I'll find out how, and I'll put a link up in the actual Facebook group. So look for it there. Now, when they first announced this, though, the real question was, are they going to have cross-platforming? Because right now it's cross-platforming. You can play on the PC with people that are on PlayStation, that are on Xbox, and you can have console players and PC players at the same time. So the real question was, are mobile players going to be in the same boat? They later came back and said they will be on their own server, which is good, because I can't imagine how movement and stuff's going to work, and building and all that stuff that's integral to Fortnite is going to work on a mobile device, mobile platform, which is got to be a little slower. It's going to, the controls are going to be clunky. I can't imagine how it's not going to be clunky. So I can't imagine someone on PC who's able to, whip up a building around them and, get into a big tower and start sniping down on people against someone who might take a minute to build a ramp.
Yeah.
And getting lit up.
Yeah,
That's really interesting. I didn't even know Fortnite was cross-platform. That's new to me.
Yeah,
I still think
cross-platform. It's a blast.
Some of the console players might disagree with me. I've played console. I do play console. I can't imagine going up against anyone in a shooter like that with a controller over a mouse and keyboard. I just think that's a huge advantage there.
Well, I mean, the couple of the streamers that I like to watch, like Scissors and Ninja and Moselk, Moselk, however you pronounce his name, they've done comparisons between the PC and console versions of it, and they all come back and say PC is much better as far as being your reaction
controls
time,
and stuff,
swiftness,
yeah,
and just mouse and keyboard. So the people that I know that do use console to play Fortnite do have the additional. They plug in a mouse and a keyboard and go that way.
Okay.
So I know I'm wearing out my WASD on my keyboard constantly. So I can't imagine, I can't imagine doing it on a console either. So,
Yeah.
but this week's download patch, and I was telling these guys earlier, it's now 20v20s. So it's like 5 groups of 20 all fighting against each other, and it's
That just
absolute
sounds-
insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
When the circle finally gets small enough, it's just bullets flying everywhere. Like you're almost like real combat, where you're like you don't know who's friend or foe. You're just blindly shooting at a random figure running across you because someone's got to die now,
Right. We gotta lower these numbers. Those are rookie numbers.
right? What the hell? Shoot them.
Yeah. Get that gun. Shoot them.
What's cool though is the teams of 20 are made up of like squads basically.
Mhm.
You do squad mode. It's like so you have a group of 4, so you can communicate with the 4 people in your squad, but you can't communicate with the other 15 people or the other 16 people on the team. But you know who's your team because they'll have like a little green arrow above their head. So you try not to shoot them. But there's been many times. The funny thing is because everyone has the same skins for
Yeah.
the most part. I've landed in spots and picked up a rifle, and the guy next to me doesn't realize I'm not on his team. So he just keeps searching. I just turn around, slowly take my time. That's an easy kill. But there's been times that I've been the other guy too. I didn't realize it was my team, not my team, and he lit me up. So it's
Yeah.
insanity. Go play it. You guys should download it.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Play
see.
into the wee hours of
Well,
the morning.
don't hold your breath. But
In fact, when I MFO my PC back to the UK, I'm going to be stuck on my laptop, so probably the only thing I can run is Fortnite. So
That's why I play Fortnite. It's the only thing my PC will run. My poor potato.
Talking about
I
shooters,
like you, potato.
apparently there is news of a new Call of Duty. Obviously,
Dun,
Call
dun,
of Duty
yeah.
Black Ops 4 is the 2018's new iteration of the most loved franchise of Call of Duty. Not so much by yours truly, but apparently everyone else.
See, I'm going to sound so old when I say it back in my day.
That's right.
I used to love COD, man. COD I used to get so stoked as soon as a new Call of Duty was coming out. I was like, yeah, let's go and get it. And ever since the Modern Warfare series, it just sort of tapered off. And now, especially like the multiplayer, where you've got these dabbing, multicolored, sparkly unicorns that, like, I think they've just taken a player base of at least 10 to 13-year-olds and just gone with what they want, and they've tailored COD to that. Where it used to be quite like an absorbing game, you could get into the combat and sort of believable story bit of it, and now it's just gone completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. I'd like to see them come back, but I think they try to rescue it with the latest one they brought out, the World at War 2 or whatever it was called.
World
Didn't
War
even
II.
pay attention, but it just looked again like really sort of arcadey. It didn't bring that immersion back like the original Call of Duty did. Like it had like the Siege of Bastogne and stuff like that. You got immersed by it. But yeah,
'Cause there was a
I could be wrong.
campaign.
Yeah,
There was a campaign. That was really the big thing because it was campaign driven, and then eventually the multiplayer took over. So that ended up being the whole reason to purchase a Call of Duty, not even for the campaign anymore. And I think they just kind of stayed along those lines and just kept running with it and created what we have today.
I think that's a shame. Like, I love the multiplayer side, and it was always fun to play. But yeah, they should have stuck the campaign as their primary sort of go-to.
Yeah. Comment
Hey,
right here
look at
talking
Halo.
about the also the fact that they do like 2 games a year and they just keep bouncing it between two different developers for Call of Duty, and it's like an annoying significant it's like a nagging woman.
Yeah, I feel like I'm locked in a glory hole box with Call of Duty, I must admit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this whole conversation, you know what it really brings up to me? You know what I really miss is just good solo campaign-driven games where
Yeah.
it was just a blast just to sit back. You got a few hours, you sit there and just grind out a story. And now
Mhm.
it's all about 20v20 or look at
Mhm.
this meme and do this and
Well,
MMO that.
I can answer your question. If you buy this thing right here, you can
Indeed,
play
he.
the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Super fantastic single player game that you could play for hours and not even have an internet connection. So you're welcome.
There are some really good
Coming.
single player games out on PC though. Like I keep dropping The Witcher. That's like my go-to game. But there's hundreds of games like RPGs. RPGs are my main go-to for like single player games
Bread
because you
and
just get a
butter.
huge story out of them. And even Armor has got a great multiplayer base, but it's also got a great campaign story to it. Company Heroes, that's got a great multiplayer base, but again, it's awesome storyline to it. And there are pulling out some games out there. It's just a shame how some of the big names like COD have pulled away from that, something that we're so good at, and just traded it off for pink tiger camo and dabbing.
Yeah, that was another point in the comments talking about their basically the amount of hours. I think it's that's a twofold thing when we're talking about the length of a game, because you run into, do you want it to be a bunch of stuff thrown at you? Because sometimes that could sacrifice your gameplay. It sometimes sacrifices the storytelling because they just want to cram a bunch of crap at you just to make you play for longer. It is such a hard balance in the RPG realm to balance those things. Because one's got to give. Eventually, one's got to give. You can't have it all, because each RPG will have its one little
Don't tell me
tidbit.
what I can and can't have. I want it all.
Yeah.
You give me all.
I don't know. Again, to bring up The Witcher, I think the reason I keep bringing it up is because it did get that. It hit the nail on the head so absurdly correct. It was unreal. They got the graphics down, they got the storyline down, they got the content down, they got. It's just across the board. It ticked so many boxes for me. And even the Dragon Age series, but again, that sort of tapered off. I think Dragon Age, the first one, was still the best, just for the storyline and everything else like that. Skyrim again, but I know they've been flogging a dead horse for like 10 years of that now.
Yeah, I've never seen a game make so much money over and over and over. Kudos to them. By all means, keep throwing Skyrim at us. I guess people
let's
still
give
buy
us
it.
a second one, please. I want a second Skyrim. Like, that's fine.
Well, obviously Skyrim's is a solid iteration. Dragon Age, for me personally, it was gameplay. Gameplay hurt for me when I played Dragon Age. Witcher wasn't bad, but it wasn't great in gameplay for me either. I felt like the fighting sometimes kind of got cheesy when I could just kind of just roll consistently, like that silly thing that you discover, like, hey, if I just roll a million times, then I'm just gonna miss everything. Nobody's gonna hit me, and I can just figure out how to not die along the way. And I think that's another reason why a game like Breath of the Wild does good as well, when they take a route, when they just make it hard and then also give you the amount of hours you want. So here's a story. It's also pretty hard. Have at it. And it ends up coming out good. But yeah, so Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has been announced. It's supposed to come out this year because we just need way more Call of Duty all the time, apparently. So
Call of Duty every day, all day.
All day. I am definitely another person that will not be purchasing said game. So
no, I'm not good on a Steam sale, but
I wouldn't even do it then.
It won't be for about 5 years. What I'm talking about when it's like $10. That's it.
I'll probably still use that $10 for some kind of like virtual hat or weapon or something for another game.
I'll just use that for some V-Bucks and get a new emote for my Fortnite.
Yeah, for your Fortnite guy. See, yeah, so we all have money to spend on something completely different from Call of Duty. So we we have that going. Now, let's see.
Wake up.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, man. It's morning for me. It's
Have a
Sunday.
salted
I'm
tea.
allowed.
Yeah, I
don't
want
have
to
any
I want to actually pivot on some stuff. So we'll pivot away from the video games, and I want to pivot over to Twiz. Just go ahead and talk about our comic books of the week and comics to look out for. So
Basically, one of the big comics that's coming out this week that I really want everyone to go and take a look at and pick up is Secret Weapons Zero by Eric. I'm gonna massacre his name. His name is Eric Heiserer. Heiserer. No joke. No, he's actually he was the screenwriter for he's best known for the movie Arrival, and it was nominated for an Academy Award in 2016. He's written a bunch of other stuff, but now he's starting to get into comics, and he wrote this. He wrote this miniseries called Secret Weapons. Basically, in the Valiant universe, you have psiots. They're like think mutants, but they all have mental capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
But these people happen to get powers that are just the losers of powers. One girl can talk to birds, which, yay, I can talk to birds. And this other guy can make things materialize, but he has no control over what materializes in front of him.
So he's like a Green Lantern, but without the ring.
No, I mean, like, he can just hold out his hand, all of a sudden, boop, there's a cell phone there. Well, he doesn't need a cell phone because 20 guys are shooting at him right now. That's not going to do him much good. So it's like these random weird powers that they all have. And it's just, it's great. It's slightly funny. It's very heartfelt. Definitely. The next little story's coming out on this coming Wednesday. It's Zero. It's a Zero issue. So definitely pick that one up. Over at Aftershock, because everyone knows I love my indie comics. Aftershock has Betrothed #1 coming out this week, and the third trade paperback for the Black Eyed Kids are coming out, which is a fantastic story that everyone should be reading. If you haven't been reading, go pick up all the trades, read it, and then you can thank me on Thursday. And then season 2 of Jessica Jones starts, I believe, this week on Netflix.
Correct.
And I cannot wait.
That is also happening. And obviously with your Black Panthers out, and then the spinning
Black
up
Panther's
of
out. Yeah, and now right now it's just a matter of waiting for Avengers
Infinity War.
Infinity War, which apparently is going to change everything, and I think that's when we're going to get into. I think they're going to use the Infinity War to actually launch into some of the properties that were owned by Fox, or and that are now going to be moving over to Disney once this sale finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So because they're going to, they've already introduced the idea of multiple dimensions with Doctor Strange,
right?
So now this is going to open up even further with the Infinity Stones, and maybe give us the possibility of X-Men with the Avengers, or Fantastic Four, or things along that nature.
Yeah, once again, Fantastic Four is definitely one of the ones I really want to see rebooted. Glad to see that we're going to be melding this. I go into Infinity War with apprehension. Not that I don't think it's going to be good. How they transition, because we can all feel the transition. They're going to do it.
Well, I mean, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr. All of their contracts are up. Mm-hmm. This is Chris Hemsworth's last movie, or last two movies, the two Avengers, this one and the sequel. Mm-hmm. I believe this is Evans's last one in his contract, and RDJ has been RDJ rather. RDJ has been running on contract. I'm trying to think, who is RDH?
You think of wrestlers?
It's a code for work thing. No, it's a code for that's RVD. It's a code for work.
Who's got VD?
Someone in Malaysia. Anyways, Shots fired.
That's right.
Sorry, babe. Get back on track. No, but they're on. He's on a contract extension, so who knows? I mean, this could potentially open it up from other storylines as far as like Captain America goes, because it's rumored that someone dies and someone big dies. So a lot of people are leaning towards Chris Evans
Yeah.
because there's two different storylines within the Captain America comic books where Bucky takes over, and one
Hmm.
that's the Winter Soldier, and another one where the Falcon takes over for Captain America.
Right.
Now, the Bucky one everyone kind of liked because it made sense. The Falcon one everyone hated because it was forced.
Yeah,
And
because yeah, I want to talk about that part, especially the Falcon changeover to Captain America. The reason I don't like the Falcon changeover to Captain America is because Falcon is an already established superhero.
Mm.
So to literally trying to transplant him into another one makes zero sense to me.
well, it made zero sense to most long-term comic book fans, and those of us that said no, this doesn't make sense, and we're treading. I'm going to tread very lightly because we're getting out onto a little political stuff as far as in the comic book world. And
Right.
it's really sensitive, a really sensitive subject. But those of us that said no, he's already an established character. I mean, if you can do this, let's give us a new character at least.
Right.
Um, but we were told no, you just don't like him because he's black and you're a racist. And we're like, no, we don't. What?
Yeah.
Shut
No,
up. Get out of here with that.
They could
So
have easily done like they did with Nick Fury if they really wanted to go this silly route. Like I said, this is probably the only slice of political silliness that'll happen right here. But if all they would have to have done is make Bucky black,
no, you want to know how? Do you want to know why in the
I mean,
comic universe that Nick Fury is Sam Jackson, and back in the 80s through the 90s, he was always this white dude.
Mhm.
Well, there was a separate comic line called the Ultimates, the Ultimate Marvel. And in the Ultimate Marvel, everyone was completely different, and that was fine. If you made a big change, it was okay because this is the Ultimate version.
everyone's
It's a
changed.
slightly different version. Everything's changed.
Yeah.
So it was okay. And in that version, uh, Nick Fury was loosely based on the likeliness of Samuel L. Jackson. So, and it became very popular because, I mean, come on, Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but then the Ultimate Universe started coming to a wind down. So they did this thing where they did basically a dimension swap, and our Nick Fury went to where he was, and their Nick Fury came to where ours is. So now we have Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury. So it makes sense at least. It's not like, hey, by
Yeah.
the way, that guy you've known for the past 30 years, he's been this white dude. He's now a black dude. Get over it. It
Mhm.
made sense.
Right.
It just is.
Ben, so what franchises are you looking forward to, especially with the Marvel Universe, other than Captain Britain? So I apologize, he hasn't got his fame yet. But what else are you looking for?
I feel so out of the movie click. I can't really cover any more Marvel than what you said. One thing I have been super stoked for, and I haven't watched it yet, is the new Tomb Raider.
Mhm.
Looking at the trailers, it looks really well, closely based off the first of the new two Tomb Raiders that have been released in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I'm actually trying to go and see it tonight. I wanted to go see it last night, but I didn't finish work until late, and then I had to go to bed because I had to come up here and speak to you guys. So, yeah, and I'm going to try and get away this afternoon to see that. That is probably one of the biggest movies I'm looking forward to the last sort of 3 or 4 months. And there's a new Deadpool coming out as well. I haven't got any dates on that yet. But yeah,
I'm not sure when they
Deadpool.
released it over there for you guys, but I believe it's April. It's like late March or early April, I believe.
Okay, so it's not far.
It's not far. So let me ask you this, Ben, as an Englishman, and I know,
Mhm.
and I'm a.
Here it goes.
No, it's not gonna be that bad.
On average, it is bigger, yeah.
That's quite opposite from what I've heard. Anyways, the movie Dredd. How did you feel about Dredd? Because I know Judge Dredd is such a huge part of British comic culture in 2000 AD. I mean, at least that's what we're told as comic geeks here in the States. That it's 2000 AD is pretty much the thing. So how did you think with the second one, not this Stallone one? Let's forget that exists.
What? Stallone? Come on, Sly is the man.
I think for its era, then
We should
the
get a
original
museum.
Stallone Judge Dredd was good. Just for its era, that like cinematic time and what they did with it, and the way cinema was going, I don't think they could have done any better because that was just the way cinema was. I really enjoy. Stepping away from like the comic side of it, I really enjoyed Dredd, and I've probably watched it 2 or 3 times. I've even got the soundtrack on my phone because there was some awesome tunes on there as well. But I think they did a really good job. But they do a lot. I don't. When I look at films, like obviously there's been Ghost in the Shell, Dredd. There's so many ports of either animes or comics or anything that have been done to films, and like Ghost in the Shell, the film for me, the live action film, was still really enjoyable. But even though my heart lies with the original anime, watching that film, I had to watch it as a separate entity. Do you know what I mean? So I enjoyed Dredd for just Dredd, and I just try not to make any connections between the comic. And I just enjoy it as its own separate entity because I don't think it'll ever live up to the base. It's like having like Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones is the books, and they've done all right with the series because you can outstretch it, but they still missed out so much lore and content and surrounding stories with it. And I don't think any film could ever encapsulate just exactly what Dredd is or what Ghost in the Shell is. So I think what they did was good, and I still really enjoyed it.
Well, see, and that's why I wanted to ask, because there's really nothing comic wise or really nerd wise that's just intrinsically American, you know, because all of our comics are usually just kind of put out there to the world, so it's kind of like, you know, globally thought of. Whereas Dredd is just it's quintessential, what I think of as a quintessential British comic, just like Ghost in the Shell is quintessential Japanese. These things are that it all encompasses those cultures, whereas our culture, you know, is just kind of like a mismatch of just everything, which is, you know, cool in its own right, America.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a really cool, like, we're kind of opening a really cool box here. The spectrum when it comes to the Hollywood scene, because Hollywood has its stuff in a row for the most part. When we're talking about like Marvel comic movies, they're obviously on point because Marvel took a hold of its intellectual property and said, "Hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. You know, sit down, let us handle this," and it's been run smooth since then. I mean, you brought up a great point with like Ghost in the Shell, and then we have things like Dredd, and then you have like Warcraft. You know, your games to movies, like Warcraft, I thought was really great.
Yeah,
other than all the nuance, it missed so much nuance, but then when I sit there and watch it, I go, you know what? It'd been physically impossible to fit all of the nuance in one movie.
Yeah.
Physically impossible. But then you look at Dragon Ball Evolution, and you want to vomit yourself into a coma.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. I mean, I watch Warcraft. I watch that movie. I've never played the game, and I found it a fairly enjoyable movie. I mean, there's enough there to keep me interested. So it was a decent movie. But then I watched something like Dragon Ball, and I've watched a little Dragon Ball over the years, here and there, but not like a huge Dragon Ball fan.
Right.
And it's just a bad movie. So I think there's a difference between making a good movie and a bad movie. And
Yeah,
so
it's sad.
even a bad movie, you know, to a non-fans can be a bad movie. Whereas a good movie to a non-fan is just a good movie.
Yeah.
To you, you're missing. You're like, where's the necromancers? Where's this? Where's that? And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, look, this big green dude with teeth.
Yeah. No, what I was
dude.
really pointing at was, for example, like when you brought up the books to Game of Thrones, it's kind of like that same concept. You have the content, the original content that you're creating the movie from, and there's this weird disconnect. Like a book to a movie seems to go perfectly fine, but this weird, your anime to a movie or your video game to a movie, for some reason ends up being an essential train wreck. Some train wrecks are, you know, not as bad as others.
I don't know. Final Fantasy, they have brought out some. Okay, yeah, but there's some of them are CGI. Most of them are CGI. Some of them can't, whatever.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy did an amazing job. And so Final Fantasy 15 even intertwines the Final Fantasy movie Kingsglaive into cutscenes, and they've kept along that line, so the story sort of bounces along each other. So I think Final Fantasy's done an amazing job of making films as well as the games, because they've just intertwined the two. So it's not tried to replace one the other. It's not tried to tell the same story that's already been told. It's just another format in which the story gets added to.
Yeah, I'll give you another good example. The Last Airbender with M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who should have always stayed in horror. Please stay there. Don't ever come back. And I'm gonna make this movie. Yeah, and it was, you know, I love The Last Airbender. I thought it was an amazing cartoon, like really well done for a Nickelodeon cartoon. And they brought this in there, and you know the main character is Aang, and then here's M. Night Shyamalan just, well, we're gonna call him Ung. Like, no, that's not a U. That's an A. What is going on? And you know, and he kind of train wrecks it. You know, that's the weird thing for me is I see those kind of people. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make, you know, take this intellectual property and say, hey, I'm gonna put my nice little spin on it, and you know, salt bay it all day, and then it ends up becoming trash.
Exactly. I think when you've got something that everyone loves, don't fuck with it. Just roll with it.
Yeah. For example, Pacific Rim Uprising. Pacific Rim was out of left field, and it did absolutely wonderful. And if you talk to the producers and the directors and everybody else, almost all of their inspiration came from your Robotechs, your Gundams, you know, your mech animes, and all this. So when I watched it, that's all I thought about. I said, this is like an American.
With a sprinkle of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what attracted me to the whole series anyway. And like you said, they just did a really good job of that, I think.
Yeah, and that had no other premise, so that it had nothing else going for it. They just took existing things, melded together, and created a great movie out of it.
Well, I think part of that too is you got to remember the creator of it is Guillermo del Toro, who's just a freaking genius.
Yeah,
I have not seen a Guillermo del Toro movie that I wasn't just blown away by.
Well, I'm pretty sure we could find some.
Try
it. See, I would say challenge accepted, but I'm too lazy to do things like that. So
that's a challenge for the audience, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Audience, find me a bad Guillermo del Toro movie. I dare you.
Guillermo del Toro or something like that.
Prove the old man
wrong. Mess up his name.
Even on the lower end of the scale, like I really enjoyed the Halo movies. They were like really cheap budget movies, and some of it it's cheesy as thick, but I still really enjoy them because they're just Halo, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's just rose tinted glasses that I'm looking at them through, but
they also have the Street Fighter series that's on Amazon. That one's actually
Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, you have like the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then you go, what is happening? I said Jean-Claude, you know, Jean. He's in it, and you go, what just happened? But then this random group of people come together, they create a small little mini series, and it's phenomenal. Like, it's actually really good. Like the actors, they went above and beyond to bring them to life. So when you're watching the dude that's playing Ken with long blonde hair, like, you believe it. It's 100% believable. Same thing like we were talking about earlier with Dragon Ball Evolution. There's a YouTube series, a Dragon Ball YouTube series that follows Future Trunks. And it's basically fan funded, and it blew the brakes off of Dragon Ball. And it was just a trailer. It's such a phenomenal job and brought it to life. So, yeah, obviously it can be done. Normally it's just, like I said, I think people are out there just trying to make their name and trying to put their artisty spin on something that's popular already. You know, you should just stick to the script. You know, it's already right there for you. You don't need to do anything other than bring it to life. You can make your small changes, but
add to it, but don't change it.
Yeah, you can add to, but don't take away. It's like military style, right? If they follow that, it would not make us so angry and want to like grab our torches and pitchforks.
Oh, make us work on Sundays.
Yeah.
You know what I really want to see? I tell you what I really want to see. Have you ever seen the fan made? There's two of them. There's a fan made Mortal Kombat that's just absolutely brutal. It's just like a trailer or whatnot
Uh-huh.
with Michael Jai White as what was the guy with the bionic arms?
Jax.
Yeah, Jax. He's just an investigator, and they're interrogating
I did see that.
Scorpion.
Yeah, it was before Jax got his arms.
Yeah, and it's brutal, and it's everything that you want in a Mortal Kombat. Why can't I get that movie?
Yeah, it's like I saw that because it's almost like the original 90s Mortal Kombat, but brought to today. Because that original 90s 2000s Mortal Kombat, the first one, that was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It was absolutely groundbreaking. Like, I mean, don't go back and see it now, please. Don't do it.
Right? You'll be like, what the?
Yeah, leave that movie in nostalgia. But that was a really good series. And there's a lot of people that are doing out there, and hopefully with all these fan funded kind of things happening right now, I hope that just continues on.
And then someone did
It
one.
makes you wonder though, like.
I was gonna say someone also did did one for an R-rated Power Rangers.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That's just fantastic.
Yeah, that blew me away too. Like, it was hardcore. Yeah, good. What were you gonna say, Ben?
It makes you wonder, like, how many people actually do talk like this in boardrooms and stuff, and they put these ideas, and just like you were saying, like versions of like Street Fighter stuff that fans, like hardcore fans, really want to see. How many times they've actually been brought up in board meetings and just been shelved by CEOs and stuff, and go, no, we're not funding that because it hasn't got the fan base. Or I reckon if someone took a leap of faith with some of these and just went with it, then they would actually create more love for the series or particular niche market, and just bring it to life. I mean, look, just like Game of Thrones, that didn't become popular until it started getting pirated, and it then became famous because everyone was going off about it. But yeah, if you actually brought something like that into the mainstream, I think people might jump on it. Yeah. It's just a shame that they'll probably get that shelved because we can't see any profitability in it.
Yeah, it's like, this is the funny thing for me. And we'll probably close up here soon after this, but when they do things like go with Ghost in the Shell, right? Where the main character has a Japanese name. So you're thinking like, it kind of looks a little weird when you have Scarlett Johansson there. Not that I care, but at the same time you go, that kind of feels a little weird. And then you have Full Metal Alchemist that has 100% English characters. But no, we're gonna make a Japanese iteration on Netflix.
Yeah.
And you go, what is going on right now? Are we paying attention? Obviously not, because I'm watching Scarlett Johansson play Japanese, and then I'm seeing Japanese people play English people, but everybody in the middle is complaining like, oh, why don't we have this and that and the other? Like, what? Y'all are doing it to yourselves. We want to see that.
It kind of worked though. I think Scarlett was the right choice.
Right, she was close enough. Like, I was just giving that example. Just like Attack on Titan, right? Because the main character's named Eren Yeager.
It's quintessentially Japanese, yeah.
Yeah, his middle name's not Yuki or Yoshida or something like that. It's definitely Eren Yeager. So a German would have probably fit the piece. Dolph Lundgren, essentially. Squeeze him in there, and it might be a little weird, but we'll make it work. But I think we pretty much hit to the close of this show for this Saturday. Unless y'all have anything else to add.
I'm just upset that Todd got McDonald's isn't sharing.
Yeah. What are you gonna
do? No product placement. We're not sponsored.
Yeah, absolutely not. We are not. But
delicious.
But I think we'll go ahead and close on that unless y'all have anything else. No? Feeling good? Everybody's closed up?
Everybody's closed up. It's nice.
Everybody's feeling pretty good. Everybody like that.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, no, you're right. And then what, we're on next Tuesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Monday for Europe.
Yeah,
Wednesday,
Wednesday in America.
America.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wednesday
so Thursday
in
for me.
America. We'll work this out, and as always, you can find me at ABNMP269, Benediction, Betamax13, or Todd AF if you're in Discord. By all means, if you haven't and you're seeing this,
Or
join
Quiz
the Alpha
13
Ning.
on Fortnite.
Yeah, Twiz13 on that game that no one plays. But if you want to join the Alpha Nerds Guild on Facebook, go ahead and look it up. And you can also go to alphanerdsguild.com, sign up there as well. Nonprofit organization. Thank you for censoring that, sir. I appreciate it. But until next time, I am ABN, and that is Benediction, and that is the Twiz, and you have been listening to the Alpha Nerds Guild podcast.
Such an amateur, Chris.